Okay, so this video is going to be from the Kimball Art Festival that I went to today, but I'm going to do a couple other things thrown in that are related. So, just a little quick house cleaning and a quick catch up on some things I forgot to throw in. This is the thumbnail photo from a video I did, I don't know, a couple weeks ago, titled, "Walk Slow Through the Fire, Take My Hand Through the Flames." Those are lyrics from the song Sucker for Pain by Imagine Dragons, Lil Wayne, and Wiz Khalifa. And I don't choose my own thumbnail photos. And if you look through, they give me some good thumbnail photos. So thank you to the system administrators at YouTube and or the algorithm. It's tough to say who's actually choosing these thumbnail photos because sometimes they come up and they're so pertinent to the video that it's obviously not chosen at random. But it happens so quickly, it's a little tough to imagine that a person is going through and selecting these thumbnail photos. Either way, they give me good thumbnail photos, and that didn't used to be the case. As you can see, this image from Sucker for Pain is that index finger over the mouth indicating secrecy in the shh sign. I just thought I'd throw that in because I did a video recently covering that very symbolism, and I forgot to throw this in. So there you go. This will also be pertinent to the video. Let me lock in the focus. There we go. This part will be pertinent to the video that we're about to do. From a small segment of video that I'm going to include that I took from the the art festival, Kimball Art Festival, that I will title that segment, "All You See Is Clouds," because clouds are all you know. And you'll understand why I'm titling it that when we get to that part. So these are screenshots from an MB3 video that he put out recently. I don't even remember which video it was that he included this in, but by the way, you can see the plasma bands around the edge on this one. I'd also like to reference here the Angel Miners and the Lightning Riders by Awolnation. Angel Miners, like on a consciousness farm where you're mining consciousness. Angel Miners and the Lightning Riders. So remember these images when we get to the part where I am standing there at the film festival sounding like a crazy man, pointing my camera at the sky saying, "All you see is clouds, because clouds are all you know." And like the natives that didn't recognize the ships that rolled up on shore because it was outside of their perspective and worldview of anything they'd ever seen, they didn't recognize them. They didn't see them. Oh, one other thing I'll point out here real quick is these little black dots right here. Those aren't specks on my screen, one there and one there. Those are actually in the image of the craft, or whatever that is, that was captured by someone who sent this in to Mr. MB3. Remember, Angel Miners and Lightning Riders here. So now that might be his cursor, his arrow. Or maybe not. Holy crap. See, I'm just looking at this for the first time, you guys. That's not his cursor. That's something in the sky along with this all-seeing eye looking lightning. So this little dot right there, that's one of those black dot craft. This little dot right here, I assumed for a second that that's his cursor, Mr. MB3 moving his cursor around. But no, it's not in the shape of an arrow. Again, I haven't even looked at these images yet, so you're watching, this is like real time me tripping out on stuff as I'm showing you. So, we're about to get on with the Kimball Arts Festival, but remember, clouds are all you see because clouds are all you know. And I suggest finding the MB3 video where he shows these images because we're losing a lot of clarity filming from phone to phone because the brightness and the color gets distorted when you film phone to phone. And the originals of these are spectacular. Okay, on to the film festival. Oh, before we get to the film festival, this is a picture that I took out of a book that shows a bunch of sculptures from one of the art galleries there in Park City. And this has been on my phone for a couple weeks. I just forgot to throw it into one of the previous videos that I did showing you stuff from the art galleries. And we can relate this to one of the images I took today from the film festival, but we'll just cruise on. Just wanted to show you those. Just doing a little cleanup, catching up on some of the gravy giblets that I forgot to throw in. Okay, on to the film festival. I have not arranged these in any specific order to where like the best is the first or anything like that. They are just randomly pictures that I took from the art festival. This one I took because those clouds, those look like the kind of clouds you see these days that are much more uniform than you would think clouds to be. This one is the one I said I would be able to relate. So I sat there and talked with the guy about this image who painted it, and he pointed out a couple things. The crown on the raven, one of these king and queen here in the belly of the snake is missing their crown. He said that this, when I asked him, how long did it take you to paint this? He said, oh, I conceived of it. I thought of it for a long time. But then when I went to paint it, it just flowed right out. I was like, oh yeah, that's the best. That's when it comes without effort, is when you really produce the best work. Basically when the muse is flowing through you, the muse spirit. Let me get some of that other shit off there. There we go. So what he said was the idea, the concept of this art was kind of like what would happen if the Adam and Eve stayed in the garden too long. Those were his words, the guy who painted this. What would happen if Adam and Eve stayed in the garden too long? They would end up in the belly of the snake. And he says that the raven is often associated with the jester. And what would happen if the jester got the crown? I would say we live in a world today where the jester has the crown. And we're going through a process. I don't want to put too much commentary in. Let's just go through the artwork. Because I could go off for a while. So here's a metal dragon. These are all golf club heads that you'll see here on the belly. Those are all golf club heads. A club head there, and same thing over here on the other side. So this is a guy that makes the artwork out of metal, and there's another guy that blows this guy away. But of course I took that just because I got this affinity for dragons. Little more dragon action. Pretty cool though. Same dragon, different pose. Okay, that's about enough of that dragon. This guy, 90% of his artwork has the one-eye symbolism. One-eye symbolism. Let's blow it up here a little bit for you. This looks a bit like the lady from I Pet Goat 2. More one-eye symbolism. This artist is Julio Garcia, and he said you can Google me because I said there's no website here on your card, and he said you can Google me, and his wife said I think it's juliogarciafineart.com. Apparently you can find him on the internet. It's not the moment from ocean to desert, but the vast journey through human experience, which remind me of the lyric in the song Make It Rain by Ed Sheeran about how the ocean stops by the shore and the riches of grandeur never reach the poor. But my point, I just wanted to give him a shout out, and one other guy I'm going to plug who I liked his work too. Julio Garcia. Okay, now back to the show. This is a guy pulling a mask off of his face. This guy, all of his work was all about masks. This is the guy that we just saw down here in the corner, right here, this little guy here, pulling the mask off his face. Angel here, devil here, and you'll see each one of these guys is still just a guy with a mask on their face. Feel free to take screenshots and zoom in to check it out. That way I don't draw this video out too long. Because I got some gravy to get to. Straight gravy. Remember, all you see is clouds, because clouds are all you know. And there's some other good stuff coming up too. This guy's wheelbarrowing around his face, his mask. And I showed you a image from the Springville Art Museum called The Year of the Mask. I will include that link in the description, where it was on the tapestry, the blankets that are woven by the Relief Society, mostly. The Mormon Relief Society is the women's division of Mormonism, just like Order of the Eastern Star is the women's division of Masonry. And the Year of the Mask illustrated a lot about what we're going through. I'll include that link in the description of my trip to the Springville Art Museum. Oh, and here's that evil one-eyed bastard right there. A little more one-eyed symbolism going on right here. See if we can't get this centered. My sculpture is an interpretation of who we are and how we cope with the realities of everyday life. There is a commonality among the way we travel from birth to death, and the voyage many times is not easy. Within my sculptures, you will see the journey we take and some of the obstacles we endure. The visuals of my sculptures consist of imagery that we are familiar with and composed in a fashion that will assist the viewer in telling a story that may be an extension of their own self. Windows represent searching and reaching out for something. Doors represent a choice. Key slots give you the temptation or a need to know, and keys give you the opportunity to find out what you are looking for. I sometimes use wheels and carts to give you a sense of motion or a period of time. I usually collaborate with the conscious and subconscious to find the meaning of who we are. Like the double-minded man, I'm just injecting that myself here. Like the good wolf and the bad wolf. Anyway, I also observe society and the relations we have with each other. Thomas Wargan looks like he comes from Wisconsin. And you see it says medium sculpture or sculptor. I'm not sure if that means he is a sculptor and also a medium, like someone who channels through that conscious and subconscious, the union of the right and the left, or the heart and the mind. So anyway, that's some of his stuff. Oh, there's the evil eyeball symbolism, and it's all over Park City. If you're into the symbolism thing and you lose your fear of it, you start to see it a lot more. But that's how a lot of people came to know God is real, because they saw this evil in our society, a secret force behind our world. And once you lose your fear of the evil, you just start to see God everywhere. These things light up. He said he's got batteries or whatever. He hooks it up, and these are like a glass jar on the nose. All of these light up. That one's not too good of an image because it's got so much stuff in the background. You'll see a better shot of this ram. Oh, owl, horned owl, definitely evil. Straight out the Bohemian Grove, this guy. Horns everywhere. He's just worshiping this horned god. Remember when I was on a trip talking about how all these people in Park City must be worshiping this evil horned god? Because they got horns everywhere. All throughout Park City in the storefront windows and stuff. That was like before I went to Independence. Since then, I've relinquished some of those things that I thought. I was a soft-minded person, taking a hardline stance on things I didn't understand. Never let your fear decide your fate. Aries, that's the name of the big ram with the curly horns. We'll get a better shot of that here in a second, I think. The big ram with the curly horns is actually right there. That's kind of a better shot of him. I'm pretty sure I get better shots than that also. But this guy makes his art out of metal also. And you can see the big old dragon tail coming down here. Here's the ram with the curly horns from a little bit better of an angle where you can kind of see it better because it's not mixing in with all the background imagery. Scotty Soltronic is the guy who makes this artwork out of the metal. He's this guy. That's him. Scott Whitaker, I guess is his name. Oh, she's standing right there by that big old dragon tail. This one is badass. I get a couple more shots of this one, but this one's definitely got some juju going on. I hope I get some better shots of that one. Feel free to pause it, take your own screenshots, and zoom in. That way I don't drag this video out too long. That's the one with the juju. And like he said, it lights up. You plug it in the nose and the eyes light up. This one, I'm going to just buzz through this real quick. I just took these because maybe this is like an avenue where I could leverage some of my artwork with some of someone else's, and we could collaborate. These are all picture frames that are like kind of like made out of, they're still half natural wood. It's bizarre how he's made them. Maybe I could throw some plasma wood in the mix and he could work with some of that. So here we go with another artist. He's got the checkerboard floor here and the color orange. What more do you need? Pure evil, right? James True wore an orange hat one time and that got him declared as evil, so. Oh, more orange, more checkerboard. See this part of the street down here? That's a checkerboard symbolism here and a bunch of orange, and we know how orange equals Freemasonry. More checkerboard here, more orange there. I think that was Daryl the Ford. Maybe not. Maybe that's a different one. Anyway. Oh, there's the evil right there. Right there. There's the proof of the evil. So these musicians and artists, what artists put their paintings in a museum, and musicians use the Muse. This was a busker who was playing a song, and he started out with Ed Sheeran, Habits. The first lyrics of Habits, I could hear the notes right as I walked up to give him a couple bucks, and it was the first notes of Habits. Every time the sun goes down, I let you take control. I recognized those notes as he started to play them, so I walked up and gave him a couple bucks. But he's obviously representing the evil. By the way, let's just talk real quick about how conflicted Christians are. They love some America, freedom-loving, flag-waving, Bible-thumping, God-fearing, good old Christian Americans love America. But they hate those Freemasons. This is on our dollar bill too, by the way. And if you ask them, they'll say, oh yeah, I know the United States was founded by Freemasons, all of them. George Washington, Abe Lincoln, Thomas Jefferson, Ben Franklin, they were all Masons. And every other United States president, provably Freemasons, other than maybe one or two. And those one or two where we don't have the proof documented that they were Masons, what do you think, they slipped in the back door? They were also approved. So this one, as I'm walking down the street, I know this wasn't here a couple weeks ago. And for me to not take a picture of that would be like declining the offer and refusing to do what I do. Because this one like speaks to me, like directly to me. It's just a guy's shirt that I took a picture of. I asked him if I could take a picture. He said, yeah. Took a picture, and the guy next to him says, I said, that's awesome. He says, the guy next to him says, well, what does it mean? I said, it's like the song Bad Wolf by Awolnation, as I walked away. I'm going to make a deal with the bad wolf so the bad wolf don't bite no more. Or the song Monster by Eminem, and I think it's Rihanna. This guy, I snuck this photo of his tattoo right here, which is the black sun. Let me get you a better shot of it. It's the black sun with axe heads. Each one of these has an axe head on the end of it. An axe head there, an axe head there, an axe head there. There we go. There's a better shot. I would have stopped him and asked him about it, but he was walking with a teenager that looked like his son. Looked like about a 14-year-old teenage boy that he was walking with, and I didn't want to, you know, make it awkward or anything. If he was just with, you know, his buddies or something, or by himself, I'm sure I would have said, hey, I couldn't help but notice it looks like you got the black sun there on your elbow. What's that mean to you? This is by David Santiago, and it has that Dia de los Muertos and the one eye action. And so I got his card, and he's really big into freckles. He makes like the constellations in the freckles. And one guy that I was talking to said he even used like fiber optic lights to make the freckles light up on some of his artwork. So that's his card that I got, if you want to check out his art. And this is just some lady's handbag that's hanging off the edge of the, which was kind of awkward, running up and taking a picture of her handbag. But apparently it's the the guest house. Apparently that's a handbag manufacturer. But like I said, these symbols are all around Park City. Like, there is an enclave of people there. And this is just stuff that happened to be on the pole that I was sitting next to. The outofsightstore.com. That warping of time, that clock, that was included in a previous video that I did showing some of the artwork from one of the galleries. I think we already did that. Here you go, the same warped clock and the dragons from a previous video I did from art galleries there. Okay, this is the segment that will be titled, All You See Are Clouds, because clouds are all you know. So this looks like Gandhi, and it says, I dissent. And it says to view it through your phone, because without the phone, all you see is the blocks. And this is what Greg Braden used as an example in his videos, Awakening to Zero Point and Beyond Zero Point, the Collective Initiation, of how we associate patterns that we've never seen before with the closest thing that we do recognize to it. And he showed you a picture of what we see as Abraham Lincoln. It was just black and white blocks arranged together in such a way that in the United States, people say, oh, that's Abraham Lincoln. In other countries, they say, that's a man. And if you take it to countries where men don't grow facial hair, they don't see a man at all. But we associate patterns that we've never seen before with the closest thing to it that we do recognize and say, this is that thing that I do recognize, when we see something that we don't recognize. Without the phone, you do not see the words, I dissent, at the bottom. All you see is squares that do not make a pattern that you recognize, only looking at it through the phone. Do you see the word I dissent? And only in that way do you know it's Gandhi. Is that Obama over there?
Super cool.
So all of this is made from paint chips where you can see the color of the paint just arranged in certain ways that it makes an image that you then recognize once they're put together in that way. But they're not actually the image you think you're seeing. They're just a bunch of paint chips put together, arranged in a way. Now this is the perfect example that demonstrates what Greg Braden was showing about when we see a pattern that we don't recognize, we assign it the meaning of the closest thing to it that we do recognize. That's not a naked lady over there, that's just a bunch of paint chips next to each other, arranged in such a way that you associate it with the closest thing to it that you do recognize. Okay? Just paint chips. And there's a deeply profound lesson and a meaning in there. It also associates with the Native Americans who couldn't see the ships when they rolled up on the shore, and they had to be shown the ships because they didn't recognize them. They'd never seen anything like them before, so they didn't see ships. The only thing that they knew was canoes and smaller boats. Guess what? A lot of people don't see the ships because they've never seen anything like it, so they just see clouds. And that's what he meant when he got to the part where Carlos Castaneda and Don Juan, one of them's talking to the spirit and says, how will I know when you're here? And a wind brushed through his hair, and the spirit said, you just felt me. And he said, what, the wind? And he said, wind is all you felt because wind is all you know. That's the only pattern that you've associated with these electromagnetic forces that Greg Braden said that are the spirit of the wind, the spirit of the water, the spirit of the earth. And if you don't like the word spirit, you can use the word electromagnetic forces and you're saying pretty much the same thing. Again, don't imagine too much, it's just paint chips. So you can go online and check out the other versions of all this. This guy's art consists 90% of the one eye. This is just another quick short video that I made today, or at least that I was trying to make until I was so rudely interrupted. If I were to do this, they would say that it's because I feel entitled to do so, because I've been raised in a culture of patriarchy and white supremacy and white privilege, and I feel entitled to just go walk in front of someone while they're filming something and cut them off so that I can film the very thing they're filming. And recently, Salty Cracker was talking about how Brittany Griner went over to Russia because she's been immersed in this culture where she's been shown that she's more important than everyone else. And she found out that Russia isn't Twitter. Russia isn't Facebook and YouTube and the culture you've been immersed in. And she got hit by the real world with a 9-year sentence for the weed she was packing. She will say. So, I don't think this person would have so rudely cut in front of anybody. Say if they had Kool-Aid in their hair and some metal in their face. But because I'm 6'2", blonde hair, blue eyes, square jaw, and the iconic image with the military haircut that looks like the man that we're sticking it to that's been oppressing us all these years, not only did she feel entitled to do this, she probably got a feeling of satisfaction by saying, "Step aside, back of the bus, pal." So I stepped back in front of her. Was it rude of me to do that? And I gave her a good glare when I did it, too, after I stopped the video. This guy, it could be said, is representing transhumanism. I'll include the link in the description of a speech from the Mormon Transhumanist Association where Robin Hansen gives a very fascinating talk about transhumanism. But as you can see, I had just barely walked up to this railing. I was 15 feet away from the subject that I was filming, and within that 15 feet stepped someone else right in front of me immediately after I had just stepped up to start filming. If I did that, it would be a judgment of my character. Well, I would say she's been immersed in a culture that tells her that everyone else is the second-class citizen now, and you, because of your gender and because of your color, can treat them however the fuck you want. And she has become the exact person that she claims to be fighting against. Those people that feel so entitled, that are all privileged within a culture that treats them as superior with their supremacy and their patriarchy. And again, if I wasn't one of those kind of people, she wouldn't have felt at liberty to do this. Not only did she feel at liberty to do it, she felt a sense of satisfaction as she cut in front of me and said, "Excuse me, excuse me." But back to that idea that all you felt was wind because wind is all you know. And all you see are clouds because clouds are all you know. Some people are starting to see these clouds and recognize that there is something about them, whether they're remote control, they somehow demonstrate a conscious connection with the observer, and they are not your granddad's clouds. So if you put on a pair of shades and look at a cloud over your head next time you're out and about and think about it, look closely and you'll notice a vortex rotation pattern to the cloud. You'll notice the outer edges are spinning around the inner part in multiple parts. If you look closely, you'll see the cloud moving in multiple different directions, like the backside and the front side would appear to be going in opposite directions if it were spinning in a vortex pattern. That is what you will see if you look closely at the clouds, slowly rotating in a vortex pattern above your head. And this relates directly to the experience that I had on Thursday night prior to receiving that eviction notice that I've told you about and made videos about in my Opus Magnus, which, by the way, wasn't very impressive, and I apologize. It seemed like some lackluster content, but there were some things in there that needed to be said. But I'll leave it at that. I almost decided to leave it right there at 33 minutes and 33 seconds, but I think it's a good time to recap what we started this video with. The angel miners and the lightning riders. Okay, that's not working out too well. There we go, a little closer. Like I said, you're losing a lot of resolution and clarity of the images as I'm filming here phone to phone. So go find the MB3 video where he shows these images. Hopefully it'll find the sweet spot. There we go, where you can actually see the black dot craft here, as was in the previous image. Black dot craft right there at my fingertip. trying to let it autofocus so it finds the sweet spot, but it doesn't seem to be finding it very well, so we'll just try and lock it in right there. I think you might find these clouds aren't just clouds. I'm going to just throw this one in here. It was on the back of a van that I saw the other day. You see the backwards flaming R in the word uprise? I was just on the back of a van the other day. It's over here on this corner of that window right there. If anyone can tell me what that backwards flaming R means, I'd appreciate it. Someone did tell me what the symbolism and imagery meant from the music video On Top of the World by Imagine Dragons, where I said, oh, I don't know what that means, but I filmed it because it probably means something, where the storefront window that the kid is looking through when he's watching the moon landing says Stan and brick, which is a reference to Stan Liku Brick, which I had mentioned a few times. This is Kubrickian symbolism language that they are using in this video. And sure enough, someone in the comment section clued me in that window storefront says Stan and Brick. There is no storefront named Stan and Brick. That was a reference to Stan Liku Brick. So if anyone can tell me what this backwards flaming R means, that'd be cool, because I really don't know. And I'm going to just throw in a couple more images. These are not from the art festival today. These are from other art galleries that I saw around Park City. I don't think I've covered this one, but it seems like it might be depicting a hydra. You know, a hydra vulgaris. You might have seen me cover one of those in one of my videos where it crawls out of a praying mantis. And it has one leg in each of the 6 legs of the praying mantis. And it makes the praying mantis kick as it's kicking its way out of the praying mantis, because the praying mantis has died. And as it crawls out of that praying mantis, it appears to fill 50% of the inside of the body of that mantis. Like, the hydra was definitely in control of the mantis during the last part of the mantis's life. I don't know, maybe I just don't have a good enough eye for art, and I don't know how this is artistic and cool looking. Or maybe they are depicting Hydra vulgaris here. Just a thought I had. What do you think? You can take a screenshot and zoom in on it and check it out for yourself if you want, but that's some pretty funky looking art, ain't it? And one last one. I think this might be the last one. This is a Let's Go Brandon sticker stuck over top of Go Ohm Yourself Buddha with the lightning bolt over the eye, looking like David Bowie. Okay, I don't know if it was recording that last time. When I hit record and stop, it kind of messed up. Anyway, this is a Let's Go Brandon sign. It's just on a pole somewhere, stuck over the top of a Buddha with a lightning bolt over the eye, looking like David Bowie, that says, Go Ohm Yourself. Which does relate to something I've said a few times. You're not just going to be able to ohm your way through this. Go into a certain mental state and suddenly you reach Zen. You have to go out in the 3D world to have an experience in order to reach the point of view or perspective that I now have. You can't just perform mental gymnastics in your basement or read books and contemplate and navel gaze in order to reach the place that I am with the knowing that I have and the point of view and the perspective that I now have. It took that outward external 3D world physical journey to go on the hero's journey, that internal journey that we must take. You can't just ohm your way through this. And regarding those nacho clouds that seem to be remote control clouds and demonstrate a conscious connection with the observer, Now would be a good time to recap this video by MB3. It deserves to be replayed quite a few times.
And that right here is the sky from this morning, about 8:30 from Southeast Phoenix.
Sorry, I had the closed captions on. I turned that off. But what I was also going to say is that they've laid enough of this stuff down already. They don't need to lay any more down, laying trails. They can kind of just guide it. If anything else, they could whip up some wind and blow it up from the ground. But there's enough of this already in the air, they can make it go wherever they want it to through electromagnetic frequencies that kind of remote control and drive it, and possibly cymatics, sound frequencies that cause this to take shapes. Like, I don't know, the dragons that come out of the sky in the music video Me by Taylor Swift that I've covered a few times. It's going to be impressive when we see the big show.
Guys, what you're looking at right here is the sky from this morning, about 8:30 from Southeast Phoenix, Arizona. Chemtrailing was very, very prominent for just a few hours, and then it quit. The afternoon skies were very normal. But as you can clearly see this morning, it was not. And as usual, it's always around the proximity of the sun. In my case, they're normally flying from, like in this video, from March of this year. They're flying from that same direction, in fact, southeast to northwest, or from east to west. This particular day, you could tell it was just a full-blown, urgent type of situation. You could just feel the urgency literally in the air.
A full-blown urgent type situation. You mean like there's a hole in the magnetic field that they're trying to cover up and give you some solar radiation mitigation? That's what he means when he says there was an urgency that caused them to really lay it down heavy.
March 22nd. And at one time during this video I think there were 18 or 20 different lines right in through here. All I did with the video was convert it into a negative format so that the lines would be black, the sky would be white. So you can have a little different perspective. Here's my theory. And again, it's just a theory, okay? I'm not a scientist. I am a man who's given this a lot of thought, like most of you have, and this is what I've concluded. I think what we're looking at here is an attempt to save Earth's magnetic shields and atmosphere from something in space. I don't think there's necessarily anything wrong with the magnetic fields. I think they're sensing something that they're not used to. Like we noticed an anomaly back on April 23rd. This was in March. I think there was something that was noticed by whoever monitors or has the fine equipment. They noticed a breach in the atmosphere. When they notice a breach, lines, sometimes grids like you see right here, are implemented, probably depending on the severity of the breach. These lines are made up of, and again, this is just a theory. I'm entitled to a theory, just like you are. These lines are made up of these things right here, nanoparticles. This thing is basically a neutralizer. It collects energy, a foreign type of energy that your magnetic shields are not used to. So it needs some help. This thing here is made of aluminum and copper. It's probably somewhere in the neighborhood of 1,000 times smaller than a human hair, so it can be dispersed in an aerosol form. Because you can set these things on the ground, and they're not going to do any good. They have to become airborne. That's what they are. So they're dispersed by airplanes to be airborne. Independently, they're no good. But in a huge assembly of lines, they're apparently working pretty good. And what they're doing, this is a picture from this morning, May 11th. Southeast, flying to the northwest, in the proximity of the sun. You can see how they're thin. Those lines were just laid as I was driving to the school. 20 minutes later, right here, coming back to the east, see how they've gotten bigger and fanned out? Those are the same lines. They've collected the energy that they're supposed to, and they disperse and fall to the ground. Maybe they don't fall to the ground. I think maybe they do, though, but it just depends on the strength of that given day. and where the energy is coming in at. That's where the planes are sent to, and the spraying begins. That's just my theory, and I'm sticking to it. I've thought of every single scenario under the sun, and that's the only one that I can logically speak of. I don't think there's a sinister attack on humanity. I don't think that. That's too much work. They've been doing this for several years now. I just think it's just an old-fashioned attempt, like Ben Franklin made back in the 1700s. You know, he invented the old lightning rod that captured the energy before it damaged your home. You know, that was through a grounding process. This is terminally airborne grounds it. Takes the energy and disperses it in the atmosphere, and it helps the atmosphere contain it. The source of this energy, well, again, that's a whole nother subject. Personally, I think it's a combination of two things. I'm a believer in the binary star system. I believe we have two suns. We just can't see the second sun. I don't think you can ever see it. I don't think one day we're going to wake up,
The black sun.
See two stars in the sky that resemble something from Star Wars. I just don't think that's going to happen. However, I think our sun feels its close approach. And its close approach may be 10 billion, 20 billion miles away, farther. Who knows? But it can still feel it. It can sense it. When it senses it, it changes its energy output from, let's just call it a yellow dwarf. Say all we've ever known, it's got the energy output and the magnetic shields of Earth are used to a yellow dwarf energy output. Well, as the second sun approaches and gets closer, it feels it, changes its energy output to say that of a white dwarf. So the spraying begins, and most of it is right in front of the sun because it changes the output of the sun. Pay attention to your surroundings where you're at, guys. You're going to see an absence of man-made color. Look at car paint. Look at signs on buildings, mainly ones that face east, south, or southwest. You'll notice those signs are bleached. The color is fading rapidly. And that's because of an influenced UV light. And I think it's influenced by binary star. And it's affecting our star in a way that they're trying to deal with it the best way that they can. And I think our magnetic shields and our ionosphere sense it from time to time in the form of disturbances, maybe a disconnect. That's what happened here. They don't fully understand the disconnect phenomenon. When we notice these things, they take the data down and say that it was nothing. Well, it's very obvious it was. Just because you don't understand it doesn't mean, it's not something that maybe we can't figure out together. But it's just the way it is. That's another reason I'm motivated to build our own magnetic field observatory. It's not that hard, but it's like anything else. It's funds that set us back and keep us from accomplishing these things. I don't like asking for money, guys. I've always done everything on my own. I don't like asking for money. That's not me. It's not who I am. But I definitely feel the urgency that this project does need to be done. If not by me, then by somebody else that has the money to do it. Get motivated and do it. Because the magnetic shields of Earth can tell you a wealth of information. Do you understand that? They can give you a whole wealth of knowledge. It's like a giant set of ears to outer space. And not only that, you can monitor the health of the magnetic shields themselves. If there is a planetary body near Earth or the solar system, those instruments are going to tell you. Do you realize that? They're going to tell you. But back to the chemtrails and the spraying, I think that's what's going on, guys. I do think there is a source of energy that the magnetic shields and the atmosphere in general are just having a hard time dealing with. I think they're spraying nanoparticles in the air that are acting as airborne energy diffusers. They're harnessing this energy. Once they're done harnessing their energy and doing that form of energy, doing their job, they fan out in a fashion just like I saw this morning, and they disperse. They may fall back down to Earth. I don't know. But they're probably assessing the damage, and they're probably weighing one against the other. I don't know. I have no idea. It's just a theory. But if you went to that Conrad Observatory website that I told you guys to look at last night, there's another wealth of knowledge. Those people are experts in the magnetic field. They've already told us that it's moved 20 degrees since they've been monitoring it, over 170 years. So you can do the math. And you can form a respectable conclusion based off of that. They said it's weakened 10% in that time as well. So is it weakening just because of day-to-day wear and tear? Or is it weakening because of an influence of a second source of energy? I don't know. But we could figure it out if we had the right equipment and we didn't have information being taken away from us. We had a steady flow of data that we could monitor these anomalies. We could figure it out. So that's what's motivated me, guys. And to be quite honest with you, I've never shared this with you guys, but my theory of what happened to the dinosaurs is not a catastrophic comet or a 6-mile wide asteroid that hit in the Gulf of Mexico or Yucatan. I don't believe that. My theory is the magnetic shields went down.
And that's why I titled my recent video, Extinction in Slow Motion. The magnetic field's failing is also why we see plasma fires.
And everything on Earth went down with them. That's my theory. I don't believe the comet thing hit the Earth and destroyed the atmosphere from within. I think the magnetic shields went down. They've done it before, and they're going to do it again. And I think this is an attempt to at least slow down the process until they can figure out a better approach. And that's my theory, and I'm sticking to it. And if you can help with the cause, get some magnetic field equipment, that would be absolutely awesome. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a good day.
That video by Mr. MB3 that we just watched was made 6 years ago. Now, we're seeing the water disappear. Things are accelerating. We don't have long. 0 point. In the videos I often refer to by Greg Braden, Awakening to 0 point, and Beyond 0 point, the collective initiation, is referring to zero magnetics. We're there. It's time. Insert reference here for the music video, It's Time by Imagine Dragons. So this is what you meant when you said that you were spent, and now it's time to build from the bottom of the pits right to the top. Don't hold back. And Warriors by Imagine Dragons. Here we are, don't turn away now. We are the warriors that built this town from dust. And this is the very first scene from that music video, Warriors. And Wake Up by Awolnation, referencing the effect the loss of magnetic field has on human consciousness and causes us to lose our minds. It's only gonna take a little time before we start to lose our minds. We're leaving all the haters behind before the sun decides to hide. And All at Once by Jack Johnson. All at once, the world can overwhelm me. There's almost nothing that you could tell me that could ease my mind. Which way will you run when it's always all around you? And the feeling lost and found you again. The feeling that we have no control. Around the sun, some say, is gonna be the new hell. Some say it's still too early to tell. Some say it really ain't no myth at all. Keep asking ourselves, are we really strong enough? And there's so many things that we got too proud of. We're too proud of. We're about to run out of time on my memory. So we'll skip to this lyric. What about when it's gone? Oh, it really won't be so long. Sometimes it feels like a heart is no place to be singing from it all. But there's a world we've never seen, there's still hope between the dreams, and the weight of it all can blow away with the breeze. And if you're waiting on that wind, well, don't forget to breathe, 'cause as the darkness gets deeper, we'll sink until we reach for love, at least something we can hold. And I'll reach to you from where time just can't go. But what about when it's gone? Oh, it really won't be so long. Sometimes it feels like a heart is no place to be singing from it all. Or Sleep to the Static by Jack Johnson. I hated everyone, said the sun, and so I will cook all your books you took a look and then mistook, and you can watch it instead from the comfort of your burning beds. Or you can sleep through the static. Kill Your Heroes by Awolnation. The sun one day will leave us all behind. Unexplainable sightings in the sky. Well, I hate to be the one to ruin the night right before your eyes. I say you kill your heroes and fly, fly, baby. Don't fly. No need to worry, 'cause everybody will die. Every day we just go, baby, don't go. And don't you worry, we love you more than